You know, Ridge, a lot of times I see push poles at a gas station, at the boat ramp, at a marina that weren't installed correctly, and there's a real simple way to go about doing it. The one thing that we're doing is on this Maverick, this beautiful carbon 17S, there's some simple ways to think about how you want to install it. First off, this middle one right here always needs to be in a place even by the console, so that if you have too much push pole sticking out of the front or the back, you can simply reach over while driving and slide it forward or slide it back. That makes real easy. Symmetrically, it looks correct. The one in the back, we're gonna actually mount that so that it's near that rigging compartment. And that's also the one that you're gonna use to take the slack and put the bend in. So I always like to actually put these push pole holders so that they don't mess up the slick here on the side of the Maverick. They're in the non-skid. I personally, I see sometimes the front pole holder all the way up here. I personally like to have this one even with the gas cap filler, just so that when you're sitting back there and you're looking forward, you have something in the same place on both sides of the boat. Visually, it doesn't mess you up. This is the one that we put on first. Now, these are the STIFFY pole holders that come with the Maverick. They actually had some trim spots. We took a lighter and just burned off all that fuzz so that it's not sticking out from underneath. That's just our own personal preference that we like here at the Murphy's Law Fish Camp. And I'm gonna tell you that you wanna always put these on at least on the front and on the back one, so that when you're trailering the boat or when you're running the boat across rough water, then you can actually latch the pole into the pole holder and you don't have any problem. Now, the mistake that people make, Ridge, is that they don't mount them so that they are flush to the pole itself. I've seen guys put it like this and the pole's going straight out the back, out of the front of the boat, or even same thing in the back. So what we're gonna do to make sure that it sinks into the push pole correctly, we're gonna use the push pole. We're gonna mount the front one right here where we want, and we're only going to mount it with one screw so that it doesn't lock the angle in until after we put a pole in there. So as we do this, I'm gonna use, because of the length of the front holder being longer than the two back, because these are recessed, you got a little longer screw in the front one. So we're gonna mount those front ones first. And it's pretty simple. You need two different size drill bits, because we're using a little bit larger one because this is where all of the torque is when the pole is in. The other thing we're gonna need is I'm gonna use a Sharpie so that I don't drill a hole all the way through and come out the bottom side, because up here in the front it's pretty thin. We're just gonna mark our drill bit right in here with a full circle with the black Sharpie. And then that way we're not gonna go past that mark. So we're gonna hold this right here like this, and we just go around. So when we decide to go in, we're not gonna go past that black mark. Easy peasy, yep. Just gonna barely make the mark. Boom. We're gonna take some silicone. Because of water, we don't want the water over a long period of time to, this would be a problem, getting water over a long period of time. Back in the days, it's just a habit. Back in the days when we used to have wood core boats, after 10 years, if you didn't put silicone here, what would happen is you would typically get a rotting area there, and then your screw would strip out, and now you got a whole big mess with rotted water there, rotted area there. So Ridge is gonna put this in. I've already put the silicone around it, and we're gonna put this in by hand just so that we don't crack the glass. And we're gonna take it out in a minute, but I'm only putting in one for right now so that when we put the pole in, guys, it actually will have the ability to adjust the angle. All right, that's good. So now we're gonna use the back one here, guys, as a way to make sure that we get enough bend in the pole so that when we hit a wave or when it's rough, boat wake, wave, whatever it may be, there's a million reasons why a push pole will bounce out of a pole holder. During tarpon season, a lot of times you're using a pole that's a lot longer than you would normally do if you're fishing in a place where we're sight fishing, where you're only fishing in a foot of water. So we're gonna check this. If you noticed when I first put it in, watch what this does. I'm gonna over exaggerate this, but if you put your pole like this, the pole holder, watch what happens when we put the pole in it. See how it snaps it into place? Perfect. That's why we don't do the 3 holes all at one time. We let the pole decide what angle it wants to be at. And now what we'll do is we'll come back. This is real simple for Ridge and I. We go with a little smaller size diameter screw. And that way, if for whatever reason we're in the back country and we end up ripping one of these off, you can go to the next size screw up. So that's why we're using these little smaller ones. We're gonna put silicone on these, put it in there, and it'll be done in 2 seconds. The middle one we like here by the console so that if we need to slide the pole forward or backwards, we can easily do it while the boat's running. That back one back there we use to keep the curve into the pole. Now remember, certain push poles are different size diameters, so some of them don't bend as well or they bend more than others. So depending on the product and the type of materials made out of. The front one we like to have across from the gas filler cap. But the key is, guys, that when you install them, you're only going to put in 1 screw, and that's the screw on the center of the pole holder itself. And then you'll come back after you've got them drilled and mounted using a little longer screw because of the fat part to keep the pole from hitting the boat on the bow or on the stern here. So the whole idea is that don't put in all 3 screws at one time. Put the pole in the pole holders after you've mounted them with the center screw, as Ridge says, and then you can come back and put in the other 2 screws to tighten down the pole holder the way it's supposed to be. So guys, if you like tips like this, make sure you like it and subscribe below.